Hi everyone, Speethany Curtano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new FAKEMINK EP, The Boy Who Cried Terrified. Underground rap sensation FAKEMINK. This is his, I believe, debut commercial EP. But if you have been following this man's work, you know he has been releasing track after track, underground release after underground release for a handful of years now. And this is really kind of like his first major release since receiving a lot of very positive and glowing endorsements, since seeing his star and many others in the UK rap scene rise over the last year or so, along with the likes of SD Kid, for example, whose new album Rebel has been turning heads internationally, which I mean has been the case for a lot of underground figures on the UK rap scene as of late. I mean, we are not talking about the days of the Streets or Dizzy Rascal or, even the peak of UK grime here. What a lot of these kids here are doing is like an entirely new wave that feels more tied to the internet than any one place geographically. But still, FAKEMINK is an artist who's quick to celebrate where he's from. This was even the case when he was releasing music as 9090 Gate, like with London Savior, and ever since that project popped off, he's had numerous opportunities to continue developing his sound with one loose single after another, leaning into strange, spacey, cloudy instrumentals, and some unique standout vocal treatments too. Whether it's a speed change, a pitch shift, or a combination of both, FAKEMINK, for the most part on many of his tracks, has this kind of like strange, nasally, like lightly chipmunk tone to his rapping that doesn't sound quite normal, but simultaneously isn't so cartoony and leaned into that it sounds unserious or weird. Like, after a while, you just kind of adjust to it. It's a pill all of the groovy plug and jerk rhythms make pretty easy to swallow too. So look, over the last year or so, Mink has really been building up an intense buzz and is on the cusp of dropping his, first big proper full-length album titled Terrified. Clearly, The Boy Who Cried Terrified is, kind of pushing us in that direction, hopefully in some way giving us a sense of what is to follow. At the start of this year, we also saw the Fuck My Life single, which was a teaser track to this EP. And as somebody who's been a little Mink skeptical due to the fact that I haven't heard a lot of recent tracks that have really blown me away, I did come out of this EP mostly enjoying what I was hearing and really looking forward to seeing whatever Terrified has to offer. For one, I'm absolutely loving the futuristic, chilling synthesizers covering much of Blow the Speaker, as well as FAKEMINK's refrain on that track too. Turn the bass up, blow the speaker. Really kicked this EP off with one of its catchiest moments. The bass is absolutely subterranean. There's a cool little lo-fi veil that the entire track is packaged in. And as snappy as it is with all these super crisp snare patterns, there's a melancholy about it too that makes it super special. Sure, in comparison with London Savior, it's nowhere near as abstract or coded in mystique, but again, the hooky refrains and bright synthesizers are a nice trade-off. Following this, we have Young Millionaire, which is almost just as catchy. The instrumental brings a nice juxtaposition between these super strung out, sad, lonely guitar lines and super tight shaker rhythms. FAKEMINK's rapping and delivery hits this really nice balance between sounding nonchalant, but there's enough effort going into the bars and flow for it to actually be memorable. But I will say the quality of the EP does begin to drop a little bit after this point. While I do think Dumb has a catchy song there at its core, much of Mink's performance here seems a bit too disheveled and unfocused for it to really hit or make much of an impression. And the song Mr. Chow is maybe the biggest low point of the entire project, with even less focused direction and more distortion in its mix too, which I understand is kind of a trendy sound and way to go in the underground these days, regardless of kind of where you're taking it from. But I'm not entirely sure it's an aesthetic that works super well for Mink on this EP anyway. The Mercer, while not one of my favorite tracks here, does a better job of, finding a sweet spot between the harshness of the production and just kind of that grimy underground vibe, but also finding some pockets of melody to work into the instrumental too. But then Milk and Honey, which features production again on this project from Wraith 9, who many of you may remember also had a lot of great beat placements on SD Kid's Rebel. Yeah, this track really kind of brings it back to what I think was working on this EP at the start. Steady flows, quality over quantity bars, almost meditative beat loops, and these very epic, epic, righteous synth chords that just sound and feel so good. Then we have the closing track on the EP, which I think is a decent moment here. Some real true blue UK-flavored cloud rap, with some of the spaciest production on the 7 tracks here. I should probably also mention this track has a burial sample on it, which probably explains the regional flavor. I will say it does lose a bit of steam toward the end, though, with FAKEMINK sounding increasingly dejected as the song progresses. And there isn't a really strong chord progression or melody line to sort of pull all of it together, like in the case of several previous tracks. But yeah, overall I thought this EP was pretty interesting, legitimately, and has me looking forward to what Terrified has to offer. For sure there are some tracks that pale in comparison to others, but I chalk a lot of that up to maybe Mink not wanting to give us every single fantastic track before the entirety of Terrified is out. So yeah, while not every track is a banger, it does seem like he's pushing forward in terms of, experimenting with his voice a little bit more to sort of get that, weird pitched feel to it to really stand out and sound specific to him. And these grimy, crispy underground tracks with super strong chord progressions and melody lines, I feel like are a great way to move forward, hopefully, into this album. Which is why I'm feeling a decent 6 on this thing. Transition, have you given this EP a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, FAKEMINK, forever.